All, my name is Jeanette. Welcome to the channel. I want to make a video of why your 20s are extremely important. All right, so age 0 to 10. So from the time you're in your mommy's belly to 10, you're a child. You're probably gonna get a lot of trauma imprinted on you depending on your upbringing. And even if you have a good upbringing, everyone experiences trauma. It's just more so of what you're gonna do with that. From the age of 10 to 20, you're in what? Middle school, high school? Middle school, high school. If you graduate at 18, granted, you still got an extra 2 years. We ain't talking about that. We talking about our 20s. So, why your 20s are extremely important. Because if you think of your lifespan in this 3D reality world, let's say, figuratively speaking, that you make it to 90 years old. So by the time you hit your 30s, that is 1/3 of your life. If we want to be realistic, if you ain't taking care of your health like that, your health, your physical body strength, all of that will just go downhill if you ain't taking care of your health, of what you're eating, if you're exercising or not. So your 20s are very important because you're still young, you're still powerful in the strength of your body, and you're young, right? That's when you're at your most valuable, a high value man, high value woman. But it's more so, I feel like men are even more valuable as they age. But what society has made us believe is that, one second. The iPhone upgrade has added a new feature now to where you can pause a video, which is actually pretty cool. So what I was saying is that in your 20s, you're young, beautiful, strong, healthy, all of that, right? Okay, so if I can give you some advice of even the things I did right and things that now that I'm in my 30s that I see I should have done more of in my 20s, is first and foremost, you have to be extremely selfish. In your 20s is when you should be the most selfish, because you are now an adult and you are setting up the rest of your life. Okay, we have been conditioned to believe that selfish is a bad thing. There's different types of selfish. There's the selfish where you have to fill your cup so your cup overflows and you can give to others. And there's the type of selfish where even if your cup is full, and if you're this type of selfish, it's not a spiritual full. Let's say your cup is physically full and others need from you and you don't help. That's the like dark selfish. The good selfish is filling your cup. Fill up your cup to where you overflow and you can give to the world. So that's that. Okay, so things that I am really glad that I did in my 20s. 1, educate yourself. And education doesn't end, ever. If you knew the amount of knowledge, I'm constantly learning. Constantly. Don't ever stop learning. But what I'm trying to say is, in your 20s, learn as much as you can about whatever inspires you, about wherever your interests are, about whatever moves you in your heart, in your mind space, in your soul. Don't stop learning. Learn as much as you can. Number 2, travel. When I tell you I traveled like no other, every other weekend I was on a plane, I was on a bus somewhere, like those group vans. I went everywhere. Y'all want a quick rundown? Like, I've been all over the US. I've been to multiple places in Canada. I went to the DR, I went to Denmark, I went to Germany, I went to Lake Havasu, I went to Chicago, I went to Lake Tahoe. Like, I was always going somewhere. I skydived in Santa Barbara. I bungee jumped over by the San Bernardino Mountains, where it's like the road to nowhere or something like that. My thing is, you have to go out and see the world. When you go out and see the world, I've been all over Mexico. My goodness. When you go out and see the world, you're exposed to different places, to different cultures, people, to different food, to different climates, to different ways of being. Your mind is opened up. You know what I mean? Ignorance is just like a closed mind. Don't be ignorant, because ignorance is not bliss. It's not. You know why? Because bliss is when you fully enjoy life. 1 second. I'm getting the maintenance done on my car, so I'm just waiting for my car. So there's people walking by. So cool beans on the new feature of pausing videos. It's pretty cool, because I'm not one to edit a video. So with that being said, travel, because ignorance is not bliss. Because I can detect an ignorant MF, you know, like, you dumb AF. Like, stay away from ignorant people, because they will put you in predicaments. Okay, so number 3 tip, advice of mine to you, of things to do in your 20s. Make a lot of money. Whatever you need to do, make as much money as you can. Even if it's like, by making money, it entails so many things. It entails discipline. If you think you just gonna get money without no discipline, you're immature. Like, you're immature, and you probably spend way too much time at home picking food out of your belly button. Okay, so when I was in college, so I went to college, I was this is telling a little bit too much, but I was working at the dining halls through the school, so they would work around your school schedule, and they had like limits of 20 hours a week, and I was pushing, honestly, a full-time work schedule, because I would get good with the managers until I think like my 3rd year. They're like, oh, you can't do that anymore. Like, all right, whatever. But I was doing that on weekends. I was cleaning homes. I do not care, and I'm a great cleaner. I love to clean. Cleaning is actually very meditative for me. Some lady that I worked with, she like was selling Mary Kay, and although I did not really get into that, it was still like, okay, she really pushed me into like going to the meetings and stuff like that. And you kind of see like, oh, you know, people put their energy and effort into this. You know, I would tell my friends like, oh, you know, I did the whole Mary Kay enrollment. If you want to purchase anything, whatever. The thing is, and that's nothing. That's just giving you an example of discipline. Like, you have to be disciplined to be in the workforce. I was in mortgage for the majority of my 20s. So lending. So I worked for several lending companies doing home refinances and stuff like that. And one of the lending companies that I worked for, it was the biggest one in the nation at the time. They ran commercials on TV and everything. When I tell you, I was working my regular base pay. We were working hella overtime. So overtime is like time and a half. And then on top of that, we were getting commission. And I was consistently top 5 in the company month after month after month after month after month after month. When I tell you, I was like putting away, like one check would cover all of my expenses, and I would still have an extra $2,000 to $3,000 from that paycheck. And every month I would get at least 2 paychecks, right? Because you would get paid every 2 weeks, or there were 2 pay dates in a month. The second paycheck had your commission check of the month before. I was saving my entire commission check every month. Like, I wouldn't even touch it. I was honestly putting away 8 to 10 grand every month in savings. But why? Because even the fact that I got up to be able to build my resume nicely enough to where a recruiter noticed my resume. The recruiter from that company reached out to me and said, oh, I would like to bring you in. You know, when you're like on Indeed or Resume and you're looking for a job, you can make your resume public. So I think I had it public because I was actually trying to get out of the company that I was at in that time frame, because I had asked for a raise. And there are certain companies, and you'll realize this with experience, there are certain companies where they feel like you need to be in the role for X amount of time for them to give you any kind of raise. Like, to me, it's like, if I've been in this position for a year and I'm better than someone who's been in the position for 10 years, I don't need to be in this position for 10 years for me to get paid what that person gets paid. And when I had asked for the raise, it was like an automatic no. Like, you didn't even hear me out as to if I wanted a 50-cent raise or a $5 raise. So I was looking to get out of that position, not because I didn't like the company and the company, the culture, everything that I was learning. It was just great. It was honestly one of the best companies I ever worked for. We had an in-home attorney, appraiser. We had 2 attorneys, which they just gave me so much information. And then the COO was in-house as well. So what I'm trying to say is, the recruiter for the company that I'm talking about, he's like, oh, I would like to bring you in for an interview. I went in, got the job, put my 2-week notice. For me to even be diligent enough to be at the positions that I was at, for that recruiter to call me in, to have the ability to make commission. I'm great at commission jobs, because it's like not knocking hourly, because even now it's like I do my hourly, but I still got my investments. We ain't talking about that. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is, make as much money as you can. Learn about the stock market. You don't even have to jump right into investments. Why? Because investments can be tricky. F the BS. Don't just go by what anyone says. You have to do your research when it comes to investments. I've made a lot of money. I've lost a lot of money. And I still got some money. So what I'm trying to say is, in your 20s, make as much money as you can. Learn about everything and anything about your passions, so you can open up your own business on doing what you want to do. And even then, realize that when you when you're doing something on your own, it is a lot of liability. So mad props to business owners, because it is a huge amount of responsibility. It is a huge amount of liability, and it's not always consistent. So yeah, keep your 9 to 5. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. Okay? So that's that. Travel as much as you can. And by traveling, let's say, I'm gonna give you an example just where I'm at. I'm in California, right? Get yourself on the Metro Link from one city to another on the train. Go online and look for a cool little 1 to 2 hour flight somewhere, anywhere. It builds character. Why? Because in your 20s, you're separating from being a dependent of someone to an independent individual. Okay? Grow up. Hiding behind mommy and daddy is an illusion, okay? Because at the end of the day, it's your life. Stop trying to hide behind mommy and daddy. And even if you live with mommy and daddy, that's fine. But that's another point that I would highly suggest, highly recommend. Live on your own, even if it's for one time in your life. Okay? Get yourself a 1-year lease somewhere. And like I said, it'll make you a responsible individual. You'll grow up, you'll build character, you'll get a thicker skin. And if your parents are those types, here, 1 second. And if you're trying to move out and your parents are the type to be like, oh, if you move out, you can't come back. Well, good. That's even more of a reason to move out, because that's toxic. Your parents should want you to fly, okay? I am now a parent, and even now I see how even at a young, small age, there are parents that can really be cutting their children's wings off. I don't want to cut my child's wings off. I want him to fly, even at this age. Why? Because I'm only getting older. So how am I doing anyone a service as an old bird? You know, if once I become an old bird and I got a younger bird with no wings, I did a disservice to him, and I did a disservice to me, because now I can't fly out the nest because my wings are weak, and this kid don't have no wings. There really are parents like that. So in your 20s, you must detach from your parents. Detach from this idea of my parents are my security blanket. You're a grown adult and this is your life. So to run down again, learn. Learn about yourself, about people, learn about your passions, all of that. Number 2, travel as much as you can. Number 3, make as much money as you can. Number 4, begin to detach from your parents. And number 5, live on your own at least once. If you think that in your 20s you're still young and yada yada yada, yeah, you are. However, you're an adult now. You gotta spread your wings. Go get a house with a group of friends, and even then that can be a little iffy. But in your 20s, you're a little bit more believing in friends, right? Once you get to a certain age, you realize, like, your, how do you say it? Your expectations of friends are different. You know what I mean? Like, just getting together and going out to eat and partying and chit-chatting just doesn't cut it. You know what I mean? Like, if someone ain't trying to help me grow or help me learn something, or if I need help with something and they're never to be found, friendships just changed. And actually, number one to everything that I just said, the number one thing to do in your 20s, to preface everything, be selfish. Be selfish. As a man, build yourself. Build yourself and become the best man you can be, and everything else will come. If you're out here in the streets chasing, you're doing it wrong. Okay? Because if you build yourself as a man, it will come to you. And as a woman, don't be building up no dudes. Get your own bag. Don't put so much time and energy into a man. Be the best woman that you can be, okay? And if you are really like man obsessed, learn about the nature of a man, okay? I ain't trying to talk bad on y'all, men, but men will learn it. When men learn about women, it's to manipulate. This is just my experience from not even my circumference radius experience of men. This is really men in the world. But when women learn about the nature of men, you learn how to navigate in the world. You learn how to protect yourself. You learn. It really is about protection. As women, we have to protect ourselves, because sometimes men, unless you just grew up with the best daddy and uncles and grandparents, male grandparents, that broke it down to you honest and said, you know what, mija, us men, we're dogs, and if you let us do X, Y, and Z, we gonna take it all. We gonna take advantage. Men can't be that honest because they're pretty much showing their cards to even their own nature, right? Because they are men. And it's like, you my daughter, you my granddaughter, you my niece. But if I tell you the real truth about men, I'm kind of exposing my own self. Men don't like being exposed, okay? So those are my tips of what you must do in your 20s. Oh, and become the strongest, healthiest person that you can be, okay? Cut everything in moderation, right? But really, really, really focus on your health. Really, really, really focus on your health. Because what I've learned in life is that there are you will hit dips in your life. Like, I've noticed after COVID, I hit a slight dip in my health. Granted, I had a child. So just be a healthy, strong individual. Be selfish so you can be selfless. Put yourself first. Travel, mind, heart, and spirit. And strengthen. Learn about God. God, the creation of it all. What is it? What is this experience? What is this experience? Strengthen your relationship with God. And I'm not speaking religion. I'm speaking God. Okay? So do that. And peace and love to all of you. I hope y'all have a great day. Stay safe out there, and just be grateful that you're still here. Ciao.